It was supposed to be just another Saturday in Emily Carter's quiet life. But that morning, her phone buzzed with a message that tore open wounds she thought had finally healed. "You're cordially invited to the wedding of Michael and Clara." Her hands trembled as she read the name of the man she once thought she'd spend forever with, her ex-fiancé. The man who had left her heart shattered 2 years ago, now getting married to her former best friend. The air around her felt heavy, almost suffocating. She sat frozen in her small apartment, clutching the elegant white envelope that smelled faintly of lilies, his mother's favorite flower. Her vision blurred as tears gathered in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction of breaking her again. But deep inside, a single question echoed. Why now? Backhand index pointing right before we go deeper. If you believe in kindness, healing, and the beauty of second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Every little gesture helps us bring more heartfelt stories to life. Emily didn't want to go. Every part of her screamed, "Don't." But when she saw the guest list posted on social media, the comments, the laughter, the pictures, she realized everyone from their old friend circle would be there. And the thought of them whispering about how she didn't even have the courage to show up made her chest ache with pride. She wasn't going to hide. She would go, and she would go with someone who'd make them all stop talking. But who? That's when she saw him, across the street, helping his little daughter fix her bike chain, Daniel Reed. The quiet single dad who lived 2 doors down. He was always kind, always patient, always grounded. She'd seen him juggling 2 jobs, raising his little girl, Mia, with warmth and strength that reminded her of something rare, stability. He was the kind of man who didn't need to say much. His actions spoke louder. An idea, wild and desperate, flashed in her mind. What if he came with me? It sounded crazy, but at that moment, her heart clung to the thought like a lifeline. She walked over, forcing a smile, and awkwardly explained her situation. To her surprise, Daniel didn't laugh or question her motives. He just nodded quietly and said, "If it helps you heal, I'll go." His voice was calm, sincere, and unexpectedly comforting. The day of the wedding arrived faster than she imagined. Emily stood before the mirror, her dress a soft shade of midnight blue, elegant, understated, but radiant. As she fastened her earrings, doubt crept in. What if this was a mistake? What if people saw through the act? But when Daniel arrived, dressed in a classic black suit with a shy smile, her nerves melted. "You look beautiful," he said softly. And for the first time in a long while, Emily felt seen. Not pitted, not compared, but genuinely seen. When they entered the grand hall, all eyes turned. The whispers started immediately, old friends nudging each other, exes exchanging glances. And then Michael froze. His gaze flickered from Emily to Daniel, then back. There was confusion in his eyes, followed by something that almost looked like regret. Emily felt Daniel's hand brush against hers, a small, grounding touch that told her, "You're not alone." The ceremony was beautiful, almost painfully so. The flowers, the vows, the music, everything Emily once dreamed of. But instead of falling apart, she sat still, her chin high, her heart strangely calm. Every time her chest tightened, Daniel was there, offering a smile, a quiet word, or a glass of water. He didn't play the role of a fake date. He became her anchor. Later that evening, during the reception, things took an unexpected turn. When the first dance ended, the DJ invited guests to the floor. Daniel extended his hand toward her, his expression soft. "Dance with me?" She hesitated, then nodded. As they moved slowly under the golden lights, the world around them blurred. Emily felt something she hadn't felt in years: peace. Not the fleeting, surface kind, but the deep kind that comes when someone makes you feel safe again. And somewhere in the rhythm of that slow song, she realized, maybe healing doesn't always come from forgetting. Sometimes it comes from being understood. Halfway through the night, she stepped outside for air. That's when Michael followed. That he looked nervous, regret heavy in his eyes. "Emily, I didn't think you'd come." She gave a faint smile. "Neither did I." He sighed. "You look happy." "I am," she said quietly. "And I mean it this time." It wasn't bitterness. It wasn't a lie. For the first time, she truly meant it. Because in that moment, she understood that the love she thought she'd lost was never the kind she needed. But as she turned to go back inside, she overheard two bridesmaids whispering nearby. Their words froze her in place. Did you know? Daniel. That's her date. He used to work at Michael's company. He was fired when Michael downsized last year. Emily's breath caught. She'd had no idea. That meant Daniel had agreed to come, to stand face to face with the man who had cost him his job, just to help her. She turned, her chest tightening. Inside, Daniel was talking to Mia, who'd been invited to the reception after one of the guests offered to babysit her for the evening. Emily watched as he gently fixed his daughter's little shoe strap, laughing softly with her. The sight made her eyes sting. He'd done all this without expecting anything in return. She walked up to him, her voice trembling. Daniel, you didn't tell me about Michael. He shrugged slightly, his smile humble. It didn't matter. What mattered was helping you face your pain. Her heart ached in the best way. That night, as the music softened and people began to leave, Daniel offered to walk her home. The street was quiet, the night air cool and calm. As they reached her doorstep, Emily turned to him, her eyes filled with tears she could no longer hold back. You could have said no, she whispered. You didn't have to do any of this. I know, he said, but maybe we both needed a little closure tonight. Something shifted between them in that moment. It wasn't grand or cinematic. It was gentle, human, and real. He smiled, the kind that said everything words couldn't. Good night, Emily. She watched him walk away, his daughter's hand in his, and for the first time in years, she felt her heart beating for someone again, not out of pain, but out of hope. In the days that followed, Emily found herself thinking about Daniel often. His quiet strength, his kindness, the way he carried his past without bitterness. So one afternoon, she baked cookies, the same kind Mia loved, and walked to his door. When he opened it, surprise flashed across his face. I just wanted to thank you, she said softly, for reminding me that there are still good people in the world. Daniel smiled. You don't need to thank me. I do, she whispered, because you showed me what love really looks like. He looked at her for a long moment before finally saying, then maybe it's time you let yourself feel it again. And that's when something inside her broke open, not in pain, but in release. She laughed through tears, realizing how far she'd come. The months that followed weren't a fairy tale. They were real, filled with laughter, late-night talks, and moments of vulnerability. Emily grew close to Mia, who'd sneak drawings of the three of them together, labeling it My Family. One evening, as they sat by the river watching the sunset, Daniel turned to her, his voice quiet. Funny how life brings people together when they're both trying to heal. She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. Maybe healing isn't about moving on from the past. Maybe it's about finding someone who makes you feel like you finally belong in the present. And as the last rays of sunlight reflected in the water, Emily leaned her head on his shoulder, not out of need, but out of peace. Because what started as a plan to save her pride became the love she never saw coming. Red Heart, if this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep bringing real, emotional stories like this one to life. Speech balloon comment below. Would you ever say yes to a fake date if it meant helping someone heal? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Sometimes, life's most unexpected invitations lead us right where we were always meant to be.